Welcome to the deep dive. We've got quite a stack of sources you sent us about a historical figure with, well, a really chilling nickname. Today we're diving in.
That's right. We're looking at Simon Bingelhelm, who is known as the Devils of Halberstadt.
Thousand Devils. Okay, so our mission here is just to unpack these specific articles and notes. We want to give you a clear picture based only on what these sources say about his life, his capture, the confessions attributed to him, and his end.
Exactly, sticking strictly to the material provided.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so the sources we have suggest Simon Bingelhelm was born in Halberstadt, that's around 1565,
Right?
and he was active in the area that's now Saxony-Anhalt in Germany, lived until June 1600.
And that nickname, the Thousand Devils, certainly implies something about his reputation, doesn't it?
It really does. Now, about his capture, the notes say it happened in spring 1600.
Okay, so 1600. And a man thought to be him was arrested, brought to Groningen.
Yeah, that's what the material describes. Imprisoned there, interrogated. And it's worth noting the sources mention torture was sometimes used back then during questioning.
Right, an important context. And it was during this interrogation, the sources say, that he stated his name was Simon Bingelhelm.
Precisely. And moving on to the confessions mentioned in these sources, keeping that context of interrogation in mind, they are, well, extensive and pretty dark.
Starting with theft. Lots of burglaries listed.
Yes, numerous offenses, mainly in Halberstadt, according to the documents, but also across a whole list of other towns, too. The scope seems quite wide based on this material.
The notes give specific examples, like possessing a chalice taken from Ray Church.
And stealing 11 thalers from St. George's Church poverty box in Darenburg, that would have been quite a bit of money.
Yeah. And another mention of stealing a poor box, this time from the Martinique Church, apparently with accomplices. Seems like churches were a recurring target in these accounts.
Which would have been seen as particularly heinous then, you know. But it wasn't just theft. The confessions described in the sources also include arson.
Arson? Really?
Yeah, the claim is he admitted setting fire to Drübeck Abbey Monastery back in 1599, and then watching it burn from a nearby mountain.
Wow. Okay, but the sources, they get even grimmer, don't they? The murders attributed to him.
The material details several alleged killings. Very disturbing stuff.
Like stabbing a man near Bernburg for, what, 2 groschen and a pawn? Almost nothing.
Exactly. Pennies, basically. The sources also mention killing a young woman at Benzengerode just before Pentecost in 1599.
And then there's the account of killing an 18-year-old girl in a forest between Hornburg and Osterwick after an attempted assault.
Yes, that's detailed in the sources, but perhaps the most horrific account in this material.
I think I know the one you mean. The pregnant woman.
Yes. The sources describe him and cronies attacking and killing her, then reportedly slashing her body to remove the fetus.
It's incredibly disturbing. And the sources even claim they made candles from the child's remains. Burglaries.
That's the detail included in the material, yes. An unbelievably gruesome claim. The sources also connect him to the robbery and killing of at least 5 infants.
So, based purely on these confessions as reported, it's just a catalog of brutality.
It really is, according to these documents. And his end, as described in these same sources, was, well, equally brutal and public.
What does the material say about the execution?
It states that on June 1600, in Groningen, he was first attacked with pincers for honor, part of the public shaming ritual, then dragged to the town court, and finally quartered.
Quartered, meaning his body was dismembered.
Yes, cut into 4 parts, a very graphic end reported in these sources.
So summing up this deep dive, based only on these specific sources we've reviewed, we get a stark glimpse into crime and punishment around the turn of the 17th century.
Definitely. From widespread theft, as alleged, to these incredibly violent acts attributed to him, and then this extremely gruesome public execution. It's a dark picture painted by these records.
It truly is. So here's a final thought for you, something to mull over based just on what we've discussed from these sources. We know the sources mentioned these confessions came during interrogations where torture was sometimes used.
Right.
Considering that, and the sheer extremity of the crimes confessed to, plus the brutality of the punishment described, what does this specific account suggest about the challenges, the complexities of really understanding historical justice just through the records like these that happen to survive?